Hey there, everybody. This is Kristin from Teaching Balance, and I am here with you with this week's mindfulness meditation practice. And we are now in the month of joy and play. Feels right that July, with all the fun and barbecues and good times, and we're just knee deep in summer, that we could invite in a little bit of this idea of joy and joyfulness and play and playfulness. And when I was deciding what to have our theme be this week, I realized I was looking at the calendar. I was like, oh my gosh, it's the actual 4th of July. And I was thinking like, oh, we could definitely do something relating to that. And then the thing that came up for me, and I actually don't have an explanation for it, but what came up for me was the idea of inviting in silliness. Now, I feel like silliness is a good way to describe someone who is obviously filled with humor and lightness and joy, but there's also an egolessness to it, I think, where you don't necessarily fear being vulnerable because you're choosing to be silly, making funny faces, just being super corny, whatever it might be. And so I think some of us have a built-in opportunity for silliness, particularly if you work with small children or if you have kids or whatever it might be. And honestly, even like pets, I feel like, with your dogs, when we had dogs, we would make up silly songs and all of that kind of stuff. And so I think for a lot of us, it's built in, and I'm just going to invite you to savor those opportunities and really just, even amp it up even more. Now, for those of us who don't have those built in opportunities, I don't have kids and I don't have dogs right now. I don't necessarily have the opportunity to be silly with kids or animals, but what I try to do when I can is just be silly with my friends and my husband and other people in my life. And so inviting in this quality of silliness, whether it's corny jokes. Apparently, my husband tells me that I laugh harder at my own jokes than anybody else's. And he said that's actually what makes them funny, not the joke themselves. So I'll take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, just being willing to be silly in these ways that might be a little bit new, pushing your envelope of silliness, pumping up the volume slightly. But on this holiday where it really is just about being outside, looking at the fireworks, assuming that your weather, is good and you have the opportunity to do that, and just, having some fun and some lightness, some playfulness, and some silliness. So that's my invitation to you this week. I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July, and of course the rest of the summer. And so let's go ahead and get down to our meditation. Now I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes, as I always do. And while it's a bit of a reach to imbue our meditation with silliness, I am going to try to offer some thoughts regarding keeping it light. So let's go ahead and get started. Allowing yourself to take those 3 or more deep belly breaths. And just settling in. And so in this spirit of lightness, I'm going to invite you to really bring a quality of not trying too hard for this particular sit. And what does that look like? You could completely stop trying and just sit here in silence for 10 minutes, and that could be interesting. So if you want to mess around with that, go ahead and do that. It's just you sitting here, listening to my voice, and just sitting until the time is up. And if you wanted to, letting your mind wander like it always does. It could be an interesting, as I said, exploration of your experience. And if that feels just a little too loose or just isn't resonating with you right now, then allowing your attention to rest on whatever anchor feels easiest. It might be sensations in the body, or sounds inside the room or outside the room. Could be the breath. One thought that comes to mind for me, if it appeals to you, is with resting your attention on the breath, maybe doing some counting. I don't know about you, when I was a kid and we would play a game like hide and seek, and you had to count to 10 before you were it. You had to count to 10, and we would always count the number and then Mississippi. You may have done that too. So that just brings back that playfulness and silliness. So in your mind, or if out loud if you like, maybe doing a 1 Mississippi on the inhale, 2 Mississippi on the exhale, 3 Mississippi, it's just an interesting way of regulating the duration of your breath, and also offering this throwback to when you were a kid playing a game like hide and seek. So let's play around for a while with our practice. And then I'll check back in a couple, just to offer you some further guidance in relation to this idea. And if you notice yourself kind of slipping into the habit of really putting in a lot of effort to hold your attention on your anchor, I'm just going to invite you to loosen that effort. You could think of it as dialing it back about 10 or 15%. Just holding your metaphorical grip more loosely. Continuing to hold your attention very lightly, dare I say playfully, on this present moment, and really just relaxing into it for this final minute and a half or so. You could even, if you wanted to, play with relaxing your body more, shifting your muscles, shaking it off. But either way, just continuing with loosening our effort for the final minute or so until you hear the final bell. And that's our 10 minutes. That's me being silly. That happened very spontaneously. Anyway, hopefully you heard me. That is our 10 minutes. And if you found this whole idea to be terribly unappealing, thank you for your patience. And if you actually found a little bit of delight in it, I'm so glad. And I hope that you get to bring some of that into your everyday life. So as always, thank you so much for taking this time for yourself, and thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey. And I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.